Welcome, race fans, to Pump the Brakes, the one, the only, the Cadillac of Formula One podcast. I am your host, the Pitlane Patriot. It's race week, and we have a lot to discuss. First, we're going to go over some F1 basics for all you newcomers who will probably be watching F1 for the first time this Saturday. Next, we're going to let you know everything you need to know about Australia and about Cadillac's first race of the season. And finally, I'm going to tell you all a story of the best shot we have at an American driver in a Cadillac car. The story of Colton Herta. Let's get into it. All right, folks, before we dive into the Australian Grand Prix this Saturday, let's do a quick revisit on how Formula One works in 2026, because this year's cars and rules are different from what most people think. A Formula One weekend is broken down into three main parts. First, practice sessions. It's usually 3 practice sessions where teams set up, learn the track, and just understand how their cars behave. It's a good opportunity to just watch in a casual setting, watch the cars go around the track, and the commentators say some pretty useful stuff. Second, we have qualifying. This determines the starting order for the race. It's short, intense, and drivers push to set the fastest lap possible. Last, we have the race. The main event, points are on the line, everything matters. So qualifying. Qualifying is split into 3 parts: Q1, Q2, and Q3. The 6 slowest cars are eliminated in Q1, followed by another 6 eliminated in Q2, until the fastest 10 drivers compete in Q3 for pole position. Pole position means front of the grid, first in qualifying. Now, when it comes to Cadillac, we are likely to see a lot of these Q1 exits, unfortunately. But let's hope for some Q2, maybe a Q3 in there as well. Now let's talk about the 2026 cars. This year brought the biggest regulations overhaul in years. Some say ever. The cars are smaller, lighter, more agile. They're designed to race close and way more aggressively. There's no more traditional DRS system anymore. That was where the flap in the back wing opened to give you a little bit more boost. Instead, we now have active aerodynamics. The wings can adjust automatically, so similar to that DRS, to reduce drags on straights and increase grip in the corners, helping cars follow and pass more effectively. Now, drivers also have overtake mode. So overtake mode provides a burst of extra electrical energy when they're close to a car ahead of them. Energy deployment is now a major strategic element of the race. So drivers are going to be juggling one more thing as they're going 240 miles an hour. So that should be interesting to see for the first time in Australia. Power units, as we've discussed before, biggest change right here. Power units are now a 50-50 hybrid. They're not becoming hybrid for the first time. We've been hybrid engines since 2014, but now it's going to become 50-50 split as opposed to what it was before, which was 20% electric. Energy management is just as important as pure speed, point blank. So tire strategies remain critical. Now, there are 3 dry compounds of tires: your red soft, your yellow medium, and your gray hard, each balancing grip and durability differently. Teams must use at least 2 different types of dry compounds during a race unless conditions are wet. This requires all teams to have to create a strategy where they use at least 2 tire types. This is great. It adds more variety to the strategies, and it adds more parity to the race. And we all want to see a race where anything can happen, right? Now, if it's wet, we're already in a situation where anything can happen. So these rules are not in place during wet conditions. Points are awarded to the top 10 finishers. Now, this is important. First place earns the most points, scaling down to 10th. So it goes 25, 18, 15, and so on. In Formula One, finishing matters. Reliability, strategy, and smart racing are often what wins championships more than just one spectacular race or one spectacular driver even. So when you watch this weekend, you'll understand how the weekend flows. What's new, what the new systems mean, and why strategy plays such a massive role.
5 sets of tyre compounds to interest you as well. The soft, the C5, C4 medium, C3 hard. That's a good race tyre. We might not need it. It might be inters and wets all the way.
It is race week, so we must discuss the Australian Grand Prix, the first race of the season at Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia. Albert Park in Melbourne is home to the season opener and has been for quite some time now. It is one hell of an event. It's going to be fun as hell. And for those who live on the East Coast, it's one of the few races that is on a Saturday night, which is great to not wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to watch races. Let's talk about where all of this is happening. The Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park in Melbourne. Albert Park technically is a street circuit because it's built temporarily around a public park and a lake. The walls are closer than a traditional permanent circuit, but the layout is much faster and more flowing than a Monaco style. The circuit is just over 5 kilometers long and features a mix of both medium speed corners, quick direction changes, and strong braking zones. So these are the areas that allow mistakes to happen. And that's good. That's entertaining. When a mistake happens, teams like our Cadillac can capitalize. So Australia is traditionally the opening race of the season, which means teams arrive with brand new cars and limited real race data. So it can get kind of crazy, and sometimes it does. Whatever we saw in testing now gets stress tested under race pressure. So the surface starts relatively green, meaning grip improves throughout the weekend as more rubber is laid down. So if you try to visualize it in your head, the surface of the actual track, it's almost like it's too perfect in the beginning. So as cars start going around it and laying down some rubber and start breaking in the actual track itself, it gets easier to grip onto. So timing of when you send your car out during testing or during qualifying matters a lot. And with the 2026 regulations, smaller cars, and active aerodynamics, this track is going to be a real test of whether or not a new era allows closer racing and cleaner overtakes. We very well could have a race where it's just a bunch of crashes. I personally don't think all 22 cars are going to finish this race, but we have our test. It's going to be fun. Now, turn one. Turn one is always critical. Lap one tends to bring aggression, cold tires, and tight margins. What do I mean by cold tires? I mean just that, cold. The tires haven't heated up yet. They don't have the proper control. The driver doesn't have the proper control over his tires because they're cold. Safety cars are common. So safety cars, which we've talked about before, they come out when the race needs to be slowed down for safety. Sometimes it's not always a physical car. Sometimes it's a virtual safety car. So basically a signal letting the drivers know to enter safety car formation. Early season reliability is also huge. Cooling systems, energy deployment, mechanical durability, all gets tested in real conditions for the first time. For Cadillac, this race isn't about winning yet. It's about data, execution, and finishing. If both cars reach the checkered flag, that's a foundational success. I repeat, our goal is to have both cars see the checkered flag. That happens, we are off to one hell of a good start. And if it doesn't, we'll figure out why and we'll keep going. Australia rarely unfolds in a calm, predictable way because it's the first race of the season, let alone with new regulations. So expect intensity, expect unpredictability, and expect this race to tell us a lot about who built their 2026 car correctly. All right, now that we've talked about the track and what to expect from Albert Park, let's get into the fun part. My predictions for the 2026 Australian Grand Prix. Now remember, this is race one of a brand new season under new regulations. That means things can get very weird very quickly. Cars break, strategies go sideways, safety cars appear out of nowhere. So these predictions are based on how I think the field stacks up headed into the weekend. But as we all know, Australia has a way of surprising people. All right, let's start with the podium. I'm giving the win to the greatest of all time, Lewis Hamilton himself. Lewis Hamilton, in my opinion, not arguably, but arguably, is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, 7 championships. He had a bad year with Ferrari last year. It was his first year with the team. He struggled a bit, but I think he's really ready, and he's going to start the season with a bang. Finishing second, I have Oscar Piastri in the McLaren. McLaren should be very competitive this year, and getting a podium at your home race in Australia would be a massive moment for Piastri, especially since last year kind of ended a little rough for him. ending in third behind Max and his teammate. Speaking of Max, in third place, I have Max Verstappen. It's really hard to ever count Max out, so if you don't have him in first or second, you gotta put him at third. Even if Red Bull isn't quite the dominant force they've been in the past seasons, Verstappen's always gonna be in the mix no matter what. So I got Verstappen at third. And just behind the podium, I have George Russell in the Mercedes. I actually have George Russell winning the whole championship, but I think he'll have a little bit of struggles just with this first race. So George Russell in fourth. Fifth, I have the champion, Lando Norris. I don't think Lando's that great. You'll hear me say this multiple times, but I can't really put the reigning defending champion outside of the top five. So Lando Norris comes in fifth. Your midfield battle in sixth place, I've got Oliver Bearman in the Haas. Bearman has shown real flashes of speed, and Haas could absolutely capitalize if the race gets chaotic. Multiple reports have praised Haas for how well and how smoothly they handled all of Bahrain testing. So Haas could definitely, just by being standard, make some serious noise in the midfield. Right behind him in seventh, I am putting Isaac Hadjar. So Isaac Hadjar, the other Red Bull, I got him in seventh. He's aggressive, confident, and I think he's looking to make some noise with his promotion to Red Bull. Then I got a Williams double points finish. Williams did not have the best training or, testing whatsoever because they missed the Barcelona shakedown, and then Bahrain wasn't everything they had hoped. I still believe they have a good car and two good drivers. In eighth place, Carlos Sainz. In ninth place, Alex Albon. And rounding out the top 10 with their fresh, new Mercedes engine, Alpine and Pierre Gasly finish and punch in a point in 10th place. Now, I don't think Pierre Gasly's teammate is going to go anywhere near 10th place. I think he is going to end up at the bottom. But a mix of a brand new engine in the Alpine, a decent showing at training, and Pierre Gasly, who I believe is a really great driver, yeah, they'll finish with one guy in the points. Pierre Gasly will be in the points, and he might also be in Q3 for qualifying. So just outside the points, I've got Nico Hülkenberg for Audi, Mr. Germany over here. That Audi car, I don't know what to expect from that. I know it's loud, but Nico's going to be looking to make some noise with his brand new Audi car. In 12th, I have Kimi Antonelli. Yes, I have him way below his teammate George. Sorry, Kimi, you're like 19 years old, and your teammate is who I believe is going to win the championship. So this is pretty appropriate. Kimi in 12th. Now, if we go a little further down all the way to the bottom, like I said, Franco Colapinto is going to be somewhere in that 15, 16 range. If the car's good, if it's not, we as Cadillac might even beat him. Really don't think that guy's good. Gabriel Bortoleto, very, very talented driver for Audi, but he's young. Brand new engine, brand new team. He's going to have problems. So he's going to probably be over at the bottom. Now, Cadillac expectations. What to expect from Cadillac. I will drive this point home again. If both cars see the checkered flag, we celebrate. We have arrived. We're in Formula One, and we finished the race with a car that can keep up. That's huge. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. We very well could DNF, or we could have a car that has some problems or has to retire from the race. But if we finish both cars, that's amazing. I expect us to not only finish, but I expect us to be Sergio Perez in 19th and Valtteri Bottas in 20th. Because I believe at least one, if not both Aston Martin cars won't even finish the race. And finally, here is my bold prediction for the race. Your can happen, pretty bold, but realistically, it's not that much of a long shot. And for race one, my bold prediction, Haas and Ollie Bearman will get their first ever Formula One podium. The American team Haas has not had a podium in the 10 years of its existence. It has two P4s, one of which is Ollie. And Bearman's very good. He's ready for his second year. He did very good in his first year. Haas is performing smoothly. Their testing was smooth. There was no issues. There was no noise. And a performance like that is how you get a podium in a chaotic race like this one's going to be. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but Australia tends to produce chaotic races. Safety car strategies, unpredictable moments. And if that happens, someone from the midfield is always going to be ready to capitalize. So if Behrman finds himself in the right place at the right time, Haas could make history. So that's how I see the grid shaking out for the 2026 Australian Grand Prix. New regulations, new cars, new season. And we're about to find out who really built their machine correctly over the winter. And honestly, I can't think of a better place to start the year than Melbourne. Let's go racing.
And Formula One is underway in Melbourne.
Now let's discuss Colton Herta's story. I'm going to start this with the hard truth. As of right now, there is no American driver who can step into a Formula One seat and immediately compete in Formula One. This is just a fact. It's not disrespect. It's not pessimism. This is just the current reality of the pipeline. If Cadillac announced tomorrow that they wanted an American star in their car for 2026, there isn't one who they could put in there. Logan Sargent was the closest thing we had, and we saw how brutally difficult that transition was. The issue isn't talent. The issue is structure. And structure takes time to build. For decades, America built its own motorsports empire. We built NASCAR. We built IndyCar. We built our own championships, our own heroes, our own history. We didn't really need Formula One to validate us. Meanwhile, Europe built something different. They built a ladder. From karting to Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula Euro, Formula 2, and of course, Formula 1. If you were elite in Europe at 15 years old, your path was clear. If you were elite in America at 15 years old, your dream was IndyCar. That fork in the road decades ago is why we haven't produced a modern F1 contender. And that's exactly why Colton Herta matters.
So good.
Colton Herta has taken the lead.
Let's go, boys.
That was brilliant stuff. Yeah.
Colton Herta was born March 30th, 2000. He grew up in racing, the son of Brian Herta, an IndyCar race winner. He didn't start late. He didn't shortcut the process. In 2013, at just 13 years old, he won the Pacific Formula F1600 Championship. Then he went to Europe. In 2015, he competed in British Formula 4. In 2016, he raced in Euro Formula Open. He was even competing in the same ecosystem as drivers like Lando Norris during that era. Colton Herta was ready on the Formula One ladder. He was inside the European single-seater system. But in 2017 and 2018, he chose a different route. He entered Indy Lights, America's final step before IndyCar. And in 2019, at 18 years old, he made history. At the Circuit of the Americas, which is also the home of the United States Grand Prix in Formula One, Colton Herta became the youngest race winner in IndyCar history. That same year, he became the youngest pole sitter in series history at the Road America.
Colton Herta dominates the weekend, leads every session for the first time in IndyCar history.
He joined Andretti Autosport, and between 2020 and 2022, he added multiple victories. Laguna Seca, Long Beach, more poles, more podiums. By his early 20s, he had established himself as one of the fastest pure talents in American open-wheel racing. He hasn't won the Indianapolis 500. He hasn't won the championship. But outside of those two defining prizes, he has proven he can win pretty much anywhere. In 2022, Formula One came knocking. Red Bull wanted him for AlphaTauri. They saw the speed, they believed in the upside, and quite frankly, they've got 4 seats, and putting an American in one of them is big bucks for them. But Formula One is governed by rules, not belief. The FIA required 40 super license points. A super license is just like it sounds. It is a license required to join the Formula One rank. It's not a license, it's a super license. And 40 junior series points is required in order to gain one. IndyCar's point structure did not fully translate to that system. Now you do get points for IndyCar because IndyCar is a respected series. However, the drop-off after the champion and the second, a bit dicey. So IndyCar's point structure didn't really land Herta with the points he needed to join that AlphaTauri team. So Red Bull requested an exemption. They went straight to the FIA and they said, this is ridiculous. This guy is a race winner with adults in a very respected series. He deserves the exemption. And the FIA just simply said no. Door closed. Talent was real. Pathway was incomplete. Later that year, Colton Herta tested at a McLaren Formula One car at Portimao. He completed additional F1 test mileage afterwards. The issue has never been whether or not he could drive. He showed in the McLaren Footage is online. You can go look, take a look. He showed he can handle an F1 car. He didn't seem like it was foreign to him at all. The issue has been whether or not he can align himself with the European ladder long term in order to build the quality necessary to participate on that grid. Cadillac understands something that most expansion teams ignore. You can't build everything at once. If America is going to build this Formula One team and to truly win, it requires 3 components: an American driver, an American team, an American engine. This is not marketing. This is architecture. The 2026 regulations demand full focus on car development. Engine development is its own war. Driver development through Europe requires total immersion. So Cadillac is doing the intelligent thing. They're building the team for 2026. They're building the power unit. They're developing the power unit program to start now. And they're sending Colton Herta back through the European Formula Series in Formula 2 as a proving ground the correct way. And that's why Formula 2 matters. Formula 2 is not filler content, especially not this year for American fans. It's the final exam for who is literally our best driver. So this weekend, when we're watching Formula 1 and we're watching the Australian Grand Prix, definitely take a look at Formula 2 because our boy will be racing. If Colton Herta wins races in Formula 2, this stops being hope. It becomes inevitability. For decades, America built its own racing kingdom. Stock car, IndyCar, ovals, street fights. We built speed our way. Now for the first time in a long time, we're not just watching Formula 1 from across the ocean. We're building something inside it. Not by demanding a seat, not by waving a flag and asking for special permission, but by earning it the hard way, through structure, through patience, through performance. Colton Herta isn't a marketing stud. He's a test case. If he wins in Formula 2, if he earns the points, if he proves it all on European soil, then when an American finally lines up on that Formula 1 grid, it won't be charity. It'll be conquest. It won't be like some business move. It'll be real. And when that day comes, you'll know exactly where it started. Right here, watching every lap, building it brick by brick. This isn't hype. This is Colton Herta. And this is the Pitlane Patriot blueprint to his success.